guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the Cadillac CT6. What we're going to do in this video, talk about what we know so far of the next generation CT6. We're going to have a look at the generations of Cadillac, why I really like this design language of Cadillac ever since the early 2000s. Then we're going to have a look at the Cadillacs that they design today, which I am a huge fan of, the CT4 and the CT5. Have a look at the CT6, and last but not least, the spy photos. Try to take what we can from them and then see if we can redesign something that would be in line with the next generation CT6. So the next generation Cadillac CT6, it has been spotted testing in the wild under some very heavy camo wrap. Don't get too excited though, because believe it or not, this Cadillac, the next flagship CT6 is not going to be sold in the US. And to me, it kind of blows my mind, because I felt like the flagship Cadillacs sedans specifically, it's almost like they were designed specifically for the American market, and if anybody else wanted them, great, we can export it there. So this feels wrong. It's so weird. It will however be sold in China, where the old generation is still on sale. Now we're not gonna go completely without a large stately Cadillac sedan here in the US. They have announced that they're developing a massive EV, the sedan called the Celestiq, for the American market. However, this will cost somewhere in the $200,000 range, which means it will not target the same buyers who wanted the new CT6. I guess better than nothing. But now let's jump into Photoshop and let's see what Cadillac is all about and why I'm a huge fan of their design language. So here we have the generations of Cadillacs. This I talked about this in a previous video on my second channel about what really happened to Cadillac. But what I want to show you is just the evolution of the first Cadillac from the DeVille from 2001. And what I think about this, I think this is still today a pretty modern looking sedan. It is a proper looking sedan in its proportions. It doesn't get any better than this if you want to have proper sedan proportions. Put some wheels on this, maybe lower it an inch or two, and you have a really cool looking Cadillac. And every time I see this out on the streets, I always think about the taillights, because this has full LED taillights. That's something you never saw back in 2001, and it looks very modern just even today when you see this car. And then moving forward, we have a completely new design language in the 2005 CTS-V down here. You can see that everything changes with this design. It's almost like it was designed by a ruler. We have so many sharp angles everywhere, and this has since carried into design language of Cadillac today even. I'm a huge fan of this design language, and I think it really set Cadillac apart in the mid-2000s. And then this was also, I mean, milder evolution between the 2005 right here and the 2012 that it was from 2001, which still has a little bit of hints of melted cheese in the front end, for example. Now we're 100% in the sharp, angular, razor cut design of Cadillac with the 2012 CTS right here. Similar approach to the 2005 model, but I think it got even sharper here, and they really hammered in the graphics in this generation for Cadillac, which lasted a long time. Then we have the current generation to 2021 CT5 right here. This is a CT5V, one of my favorite sedans on the market today. These feel, the CT4 and the CT5, they feel almost more German, and the Blackwings feel more BMW M5 and M4 than the actual M5s and M4. It's weird how that just shifted, and at the same time Cadillac is now 100% going into EVs. So I don't know, it's such a big contrast between what's being sold today by Cadillac, for example the manual shifters in the CT5 and CT4 Blackwing, compared to where they are headed. It doesn't really compute in my head. And then they also cancel the CT6 for the American market. It's a confusing time, but looking at what we have today, let's just appreciate what we have on the market today from Cadillac with the CT5 Blackwing and the CT4 Blackwing. I think these designs are just beautiful, stately looking, sporty performance sedans, both of these. I love the front end. You can see just how hammered in the design language and DNA is. You can barely tell the difference between these two. The CT4, of course, down here, and then you have the 5 up here. Same thing in the rear. You have a little bit more of a difference here in the trunk lid for the CT4 compared to the design of the CT5 there. As you can see, the number plate is lower on the CT4, sits in the middle of the lid on the CT5. Both of these, as I said, two of my favorite designs at the moment. You can have them with I can't remember the name here, the numbers for the Blackwing versions, but it's connected to a manual transmission in a Cadillac in 2022. It's just amazing. So let's have a look at the CT6. What I think about this is same thing as I said about the CT4 and CT5, that they feel more German than the actual German cars. I kind of feel the same way here. This feels more stately in its design with these sharp angles and corners, and you know, it feels like it's been cut into the proper proportions of a sedan with intent of doing so, if that makes sense. We have a lot of long lines creating this stately elegance of this design, but at the same time it has this presence to it. Looking at it specifically in the front end with these lights right here, it emphasizes the width. So when you see this at night, you see the two light bar at the very far end corners of the car. It makes it look super wide and low at the same time. It's just a beautiful design, and it's a shame that Cadillac won't be selling this anymore in the States. So let's have a look at the spy photos here. As you can see, it's gonna be a bit of a challenge because this is pretty wrapped up here. There's not a lot I can take from this these photos here, but so looking at the proportions, look pretty much very similar to the current CT6. What's different is this area right here. So if you look at the greenhouse, we have an upswing of the rear windows there, which we don't have in the current in the current CT6. It goes straight here all the way. It doesn't have this upswing in the rear, so that's definitely something that we can implement in the redesign. And looking at the front view, they made it kind of look like a BMW grille here, but they're not fooling anyone. We can still see some body lines underneath here, a couple of wings maybe going down like this, have something in connection with the front end down here, going down obviously symmetrical. Hopefully, I don't know, it might be some crazy design where it's completely asymmetrical, but I really doubt that. And then we have the daytime running lights up here with the headlights being mounted something like this. So we have an angle here, maybe 90 degrees or close to it. And we also have an intake down here in the bottom. Then we need to figure out the lines and creases of the hood to fit the graphics that we have in the grille. And for taking inspiration for the graphics, we can look forward for the new Cadillac models. How are they doing it? For example, the Lyric, for example, or Lyric, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but the new EV. I'm going to take inspiration from that front end and apply it onto the proportions of a sedan, and boom, we should have a pretty cool looking sedan that way. Looking at the rear, this looks very much, both these angles of the taillights here look very much like the current CT6, and that's not a bad thing. I love these taillights because they have two functions that connect the graphic parts of this design, and those functions are these. We have this line right here, and that also continues into the graphics, as you can see right here. And then this continues all the way around, wrapping around the entire car. But you can also take it this way. So you can use this line, and then you can take it down here with this angle of LED, and then that line continues into the bumper. So they both have a nice flow to either horizontal, or you can go down vertical into the bumper as well. It's just a beautiful solution to this design, and that's kind of something I want to have in, if I were to redesign the rear. We're going to focus on the front view right here, right now. So let's continue here in Photoshop. Let's see what we can make out of these spy photos, and let's get to work and see what the next generation Cadillac CT6 might look like. You know, it's kind of unfortunate that more and more people are buying SUVs and crossovers instead of beautiful sporty sedans. You still have the same amount of room, specifically if you're buying one of these SUV coupes, which totally does not make sense in any possible way. I've been thinking about this for over a year now. Why do people buy SUV coupes? I still have not come up with a good answer to it, because either you want a coupe or you want an SUV. In between, you get a compromise, so you can't be good at everything, and that means that sport SUV coupes are good at absolutely nothing. I don't even think they look good, but that's just my opinion. So it's kind of weird that people are buying more SUVs than sedans than ever before, but at the same time I understand why. You feel more safe in an SUV sitting a little bit higher than everybody else. But then again, if you want to sit higher than everybody else and everybody else is also buying an SUV, then all of a sudden everybody is going to be at the same ride height once again. So we're going to keep climbing up in ride height and adding more plastic cladding to the cars to sell more and more cars, and I don't see what the end point to that would be. Hopefully it would be bringing it back into people actually enjoying sitting a little lower and enjoying a better handling car than if you were to buy an SUV. So looking at this redesign here, I really like where Cadillac is going with their EVs as well. We have the Celestiq, which is Celestiq. Again, not sure how to pronounce the names here, but it's their future flagship EV sedan. But as I said, it's gonna cost $200,000. That's above Taycan money. And I'm not sure what the target audience is, and it's not going to be you're not going to sell a lot of them. You're not going to sell as many as you would sell a CT6 style or size or price range EV. So I'm not sure what the decision was there from Cadillac to release a massive sedan EV for 200 grand. But hopefully it will sell well, because I like the design, what we've seen of it so far in the spy photos and the renders and so on. But I would still want to have a proper CT6 here in the US. My neighbor has a white CT6 V Sport, and I think every time I just drive past it, I think I always appreciate the design. I take a look at it twice from all angles when I drive past it, and it's been over 2 years now, it's still there. I still appreciate the design, and I think a new design with the Lyric front face would be something that would be really cool to see, and it suits the sedan proportions as well. So what I'm doing here is applying that onto the front face of the CT6 proportions, working with the greenhouse to be in line with what we talked about in the spy photos. And also, since the Lyric front face is a little bit black and there's a lot of graphics going on, and we have a white car, I honestly think that this front face would work better on a charcoal car or a black car, but now we have a white car here. So what I want to do is extend some of that graphics onto the side. This is probably not going to be in the production version because I can't see it on the spy photos, but this is just my kind of touch to it, because there's so many things going on in the front end that I want to have it be stretched out a little bit to the lower part of the side of the redesign here as well, to have some connection with the graphic elements in the front end and have that be connected to the side as well. But other than that, you gotta change the wheels in the final render picture of this video. You're gonna see that the wheels are gonna be changed as well. Other than that, I think it was a really fun redesign. I really enjoyed connecting the lines of the hood to the graphics of the front end as well. I think it suits the car really good, that part too. I just want to congratulate China, because they're the ones who are going to be enjoying the next generation CT6, since we're not gonna have it here in the United States. It's just a shame in my opinion, but hey, you can't get everything you want. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Take care.